Have you ever wondered why some nights feel alive, as if the darkness itself is whispering secrets? Maybe you've been outside after midnight, feeling the humid air of a June night, and noticed how everything seems to pause, waiting, holding its breath. On these nights, under the vast American sky, it's easy to sense that there's something more here than just stars and wind. For generations, people across America, from the forests of Oregon to the fields of Nebraska, have looked to the sky on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. Native cultures honored this night with quiet rituals. Families today still gather around backyard fires, and even city dwellers in places like New York or Chicago can sense an odd electric buzz drifting through the air. What is it about the solstice that makes the invisible feel so close? It's easy to brush off these feelings. Maybe it's just the weather. Maybe you're tired from work, the kids, the bills, the noise of daily life. Yet, deep down, a quiet question lingers. What if that subtle energy is real? What if it's a signal, a cosmic call meant for you? Tonight, you're invited to let go of disbelief, just for a moment. Imagine that your body is not only flesh and bone, but also a web of invisible currents, fields of energy flowing around and within you. Science now confirms what our ancestors suspected. The human heart and brain generate electromagnetic fields measurable and real that interact with the world. But there's something else. The solstice is more than a date on the calendar. It is a doorway. One night each year when the engine inside you stirs and the walls between you and the world grow thin. During these hours, people report vivid dreams, flashes of insight, emotions that seem to surge from nowhere. They notice odd coincidences, thinking of someone, then hearing from them, longing for change, then stumbling into the first step. This is not superstition, it's resonance. And as the solstice approaches, the invitation is simple. Pay attention. Your body, mind, and soul are ready to listen. Are you? Welcome to the Eye of Wisdom, where tonight we step beyond the ordinary and into the pulsing heart of the solstice. If you're open, just a little, you may discover that the hidden power you've always carried is closer to the surface than you ever imagined.
Have you ever heard that you contain the same elements as the stars? It sounds poetic, but it's scientific truth. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your lungs, all were forged in the heart of exploding suns billions of years ago. This is not just cosmic trivia, it's a reminder that you carry ancient energy, woven through your very being. Modern science reveals that each person carries a faint electrical field powered by the firing of nerves, the rhythm of the heart, the slow, deep pulse of the brain. The average human body, yours, mine, generates around 100 watts of electrical power at rest. That's enough to light a small bulb, or in today's world, to keep a smartphone glowing all night. But our ancestors saw more than numbers. To them, this current was a hidden magic, a living force. They spoke of it as chi, prana, orinda, or spirit fire. In the traditions of Native Americans, there are stories of the living breath, a force that connects humans, animals, and Earth itself. Today, scientists at institutions like the Heart Math Institute have measured this field and found something remarkable. When a person feels gratitude or compassion, their heart rhythm becomes smooth and harmonious. This coherence can be detected several feet from the body, influencing the state of those nearby. A calm parent can soothe a restless child, not just with words, but with the quiet energy of their field. Lovers synchronize heartbeats when they embrace. Even strangers can feel a vibe in a crowded room, a subtle but powerful resonance that science is only beginning to explain. As the solstice draws near, these subtle energies do not stay hidden. People across America report feeling a charge in the air, sometimes subtle, sometimes unmistakable. Farmers in Iowa have long claimed their crops seem to shoot up after the solstice, as if the earth itself is supercharged. In big cities, artists and dreamers say ideas come faster and dreams are brighter. Nighttime brings restless sleep, wild imaginings, and flashes of old memories. The energy is not new. It's the same force that's always been there, resting in your spine, echoing in your blood, waiting for the right moment to wake up. The solstice is not a magic trick. It's the Earth's loudest heartbeat, a cosmic metronome syncing your internal clock to something vast and eternal. So as these days approach, ask yourself, what if you stopped trying to ignore these currents? What if you paid attention? You might discover that the engine within you is not only real, it's ready.
The solstice is more than a mark on the calendar. In the United States, it arrives every June 20th or 21st, quietly shifting the balance of night and day. In places like Seattle or Boston, the sunlight lingers until nearly 9 p.m. In Miami, the warm air seems to vibrate with possibility long after sunset. All across the country, the world feels a little softer, the boundaries less defined. But this shift isn't only in the sky, it's in you. Have you noticed how your dreams grow stranger in June, or that your thoughts echo longer, looping back when you least expect it? The solstice is a kind of cosmic amplifier. What's quiet becomes loud, what's hidden becomes obvious. Let's talk science for a moment. The Earth's tilt brings us closer to the sun's direct rays. NASA data shows that during this time, the planet receives more solar energy per square mile than at any other point in the year. This surge affects everything. Plants burst into bloom, animals change their patterns, and people feel a charge running through their days. But there's more. Solar activity, like geomagnetic storms, often increases near the solstice. The Earth's magnetic field pulses and shifts, and scientists have found that human brainwaves, the very rhythm of thought, can synchronize with these cosmic fluctuations. At universities from California to Massachusetts, studies have tracked how people's moods, creativity, and even intuition spike during these magnetic windows. That's why you might feel restless as the solstice approaches. Your sleep might grow lighter, your senses sharper. Some people report waking at the same odd hour every night. Others find themselves flooded with emotion for no apparent reason. These are not quirks or random events. They are signals, the world's way of reminding you that you are part of a much larger circuit. On the solstice, reality itself becomes softer, more responsive. Ancient cultures believe the veil between worlds thinned on these nights, making it easier to receive messages or inspiration. Modern people might call it coincidence or synchronicity, but beneath it all is a simple truth. Your field is open and the universe is listening. Have you ever thought of a friend only to have them text you moments later? Or spoken a wish out loud and then seen a sign, a song, a phrase, a perfect stranger reflect it back to you? The solstice is when these little miracles multiply. The world is softer clay, and your energy is the hand shaping it. Tonight, as the solstice draws near, pause and notice the invisible. The energy you radiate, the thoughts you dwell on, the feelings you nurture, matter more now than at any other time. The air is tuned to your frequency. What will you broadcast?
If all this talk of energy and fields sounds too mysterious, let's ground it in hard evidence. Science isn't separate from wonder. It's the map that helps us explore the territory our ancestors felt intuitively. In the last 20 years, American researchers at universities like Princeton and Stanford have built sensitive instruments to measure fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field. These fluctuations spike near the solstice and equinoxes, precisely when countless people across cultures have described feeling strange for centuries. It's not just folklore. The Heart Math Institute, based in California, found that the heart's electromagnetic field can be measured up to 3 feet from the body, and that it actually changes in response to both our own emotions and the collective pulse of the environment. During geomagnetic storms, rates of heart arrhythmia, insomnia, and even spontaneous creativity rise across large populations. You might not realize it, but you're participating in a cosmic feedback loop. Here's another fact. American police and emergency services report more unusual events during solstice windows. There are spikes in sleepwalking, emotional crises, and even bursts of unexpected insight, people solving problems or making life changes they'd avoided for months. Hospitals in cities like Dallas and Los Angeles see more patients with odd symptoms that often resolve on their own after the solstice passes. What's happening? Think of the solstice as a giant tuning fork. The earth hums a little louder, and your inner world vibrates in sympathy. Your nervous system, already sensitive, picks up these invisible cues. That's why you might feel restless or inspired, or both, cycling through extremes in the same day. For some, this energy brings clarity. Ideas arrive in full color, projects finally come together, relationships feel renewed. For others, it can be overwhelming, like a volume knob turned up too high. Old wounds, buried grief, forgotten hopes may surface, demanding attention. None of this is all in your head. It's in your field, your body, your story. It's in the way you feel a chill on a 78-degree Fahrenheit summer night in Denver, or the way a certain song seems to follow you from store to store in San Francisco, or how your heart leaps when you recognize a pattern you thought was lost. The solstice is a spotlight, not only on the world outside, but on the landscape within. It's the moment the invisible becomes measurable, when ancient wisdom and modern science meet. You don't have to believe in magic. You only have to notice the evidence. Your body, your emotions, your life are not separate from the turning of the earth. So as this energy builds, don't brush it aside. Instead, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? What patterns are coming up for me? What am I being asked to feel, to heal, to let go, or to welcome in? Because when you listen, really listen, the solstice becomes more than a date. It becomes an answer. As the solstice approaches, pay attention to your own signals. Maybe you've noticed your sleep pattern shifting. You wake before sunrise or find yourself lying awake, mind racing at 2 in the morning. Maybe your dreams are unusually vivid, full of images and old memories you haven't thought of in years. Perhaps, for no clear reason, your mood swings from calm to restless, or you feel a wave of emotion that doesn't seem to fit the moment. These are not random. They're your body's way of tuning into the new frequency. Across America, people share similar stories. In Portland, a mother describes how her usually quiet son starts sharing wild, imaginative dreams around solstice. In Georgia, a musician finds herself writing songs effortlessly, as if the melodies were waiting just beneath her skin. In Arizona, a retired veteran notices a sudden urge to forgive an old friend, something he thought he'd never do. These are examples of what scientists call heightened suggestibility. When Earth's field vibrates at peak resonance, so do you. Your thoughts, feelings, and even your choices become more impressionable, just like wet clay on a potter's wheel. But it's not only about positive change. For some, the solstice can stir up old pain or unresolved memories. You may feel inexplicably sad, nostalgic, or anxious. Sometimes, this is your body's way of asking you to pay attention, to finally process what's been buried. The energy of the solstice acts like a spotlight, showing you the parts of your story that are ready for healing. It's not about forcing yourself to be happy or spiritual. Instead, notice what arises without judgment. If a wave of emotion comes, let it move through you. If you feel the urge to journal, to walk barefoot in the grass, to call a loved one out of the blue, trust that impulse. This is your field opening, your energy aligning with a bigger rhythm. Think of it like tuning a radio. For most of the year, the stag drowns out the subtle stations. But as the solstice arrives, the signal sharpens. You may hear things you usually ignore, insights, warnings, invitations. This is the universe's way of drawing your attention back to yourself, back to your own wisdom. During these days, even small intentions carry weight. A wish whispered at midnight, a thank you offered to the sunrise, a decision to forgive or begin again. These are seeds planted in the most fertile ground of the year. The energy will carry them further than you expect. So as you move through the solstice window, be gentle with yourself. The signals you feel are not here to overwhelm you. They are invitations to heal, to remember, to create, and above all, to trust the living engine within you. You're not just witnessing the solstice. You're participating in it with every breath.
The solstice doesn't require you to perform grand rituals or recite ancient spells. It asks only that you show up, present, awake, and willing to listen to your own field. But small, intentional acts can help you align with this powerful current and make the most of what's possible now. Across America, people mark the solstice in 1,000 unique ways. In the Great Plains, families gather on porches to watch the sun's last rays stretch across endless fields. In New England, friends light backyard fires and share stories until the sky turns indigo. Even in the heart of Manhattan, people pause on rooftops, coffee in hand, marveling as the city glows gold and the noise falls away for just a moment. You don't have to travel far or spend a lot of money to connect. The most potent rituals are often the simplest. Spend time outdoors. Stand barefoot on the lawn, the sand, or a wooden deck. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Notice how the temperature, the wind, even the distant sounds change as dusk falls. The U.S. measures more than 3.5 million square miles of land, but the only patch you need is the one you're standing on. Breathe with intention. Find a quiet space. Inhale deeply, feeling your chest expand. Exhale slowly, letting tension flow out through your body. Let your breath match the natural rhythm around you. Unhurried, steady, present. Set a clear intention. Write a single wish or goal in a notebook. Maybe a classic American 8.5 by 11-inch journal. Speak it aloud. Tonight, I invite clarity. Or, I am open to healing. Or, I am ready for new beginnings. It doesn't need to be poetic. It only needs to be true. Observe silence. Let a few minutes pass with no music, no screens, no words. Let your thoughts settle like dust. In the quiet, you might notice feelings or ideas that have waited all year to rise. You can also mark the solstice by doing something creative, painting, dancing, cooking a favorite meal, or arranging flowers. These are all ways to signal to your mind and spirit, I am here, I am part of this turning. Even sharing a story with someone you love is a ritual if done with attention. Many people report that simply noticing the sky, the colors at sunrise, the shape of clouds at sunset, the first stars that appear, brings a wave of peace, wonder, or nostalgia. In these small moments, you connect not only with the universe, but with everyone who has ever paused to watch the world change. The solstice window, those hours from dusk on June 20th through the slow light of June 21st, is a powerful time for planting seeds, literal and metaphorical. Gardeners in Minnesota swear by sowing beans or squash under the solstice moon. Entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley have launched new ventures during this season, claiming the timing just felt right. Even children, falling asleep in Texas heat, dream more deeply, carried by the same invisible tide.
Whatever you choose, remember, your presence is the most important ingredient. The field is already open. You simply have to step into it. Across the United States, stories about the solstice ripple quietly through families and friends, handed down like heirlooms or rediscovered in moments of quiet wonder. Maybe you recognize one of these stories in your own life. In the small towns of the Midwest, there's a tradition of gathering at the local park to watch the longest sunset. On one such evening in Indiana, a woman in her 70s shared how every solstice since childhood she'd written a letter to her future self. Some years, she found the words simple and hopeful. Other years, she poured out her fears or regrets. But every letter, she said, taught me something when I read it the following summer. How much can change, how much can heal in a single turn of the sun. In San Francisco, a group of friends began a quiet practice during the solstice, lighting a single candle, sitting together in silence, and sharing their wildest dreams out loud. One year, they all confessed a longing for deeper connection, for friendships that would survive even the hard times. Over the next 12 months, they found themselves drawn together through heartbreak, celebration, and unexpected opportunity. The solstice made us braver, one said. We dared to wish out loud, and life answered. In the high desert of New Mexico, a young artist struggled for months with creative block. Nothing she painted felt alive. On the night of the solstice, she took her sketchbook outside and simply watched the sky shift from pink to black. Inspired by a feeling she couldn't explain, she began to draw the outline of a new world. That drawing became the heart of my next exhibition, she later said. I don't know if it was the solstice, or just a permission I gave myself to be present. Maybe it's the same thing. And in cities everywhere, Atlanta, Seattle, Austin, Detroit, people notice the little things, chance meetings, sudden insights, the feeling of being in the right place at the right time. One father remembered how, after years of silence, he reached out to his own estranged dad on the solstice. Their conversation was awkward but honest, the beginning of a slow, healing reconciliation. I needed the energy to be different. That night, it was. These stories are not rare. They are simply rarely told. The solstice does not demand that you change your life, only that you become a little more aware of the life you are living. It is a window, sometimes just a crack, through which the ordinary becomes sacred and the invisible becomes undeniable. When you notice your own solstice story, no matter how small, honor it, write it down, share it with someone. Let it remind you that the power to awaken, to connect, and to heal has always been there, quietly echoing beneath the surface, waiting for this very season to rise. In a world that never seems to slow down, the solstice offers something rare, a natural pause, a widening of the present moment. The news cycle spins endlessly, deadlines pile up, notifications buzz from dawn to midnight. Sometimes it feels as if we are passengers in our own lives, carried along by routines and expectations we never quite chose. Yet, every June, as the solstice arrives, the earth itself seems to whisper, "Stop, look, feel." All across America, from the northern reaches of Maine to the warm coastlines of California, there is a subtle shift, a quiet invitation to wake up to where you are, who you are, and what you truly want. Why does this matter now, maybe more than ever? Because when the world is loud, it's easy to lose the thread of your own story. We become experts at ignoring our instincts, at dismissing the strange pulses of intuition or the longing for meaning that surfaces in quieter moments. The solstice is a yearly reminder that your experience matters, not just as another face in the crowd, but as a singular, powerful presence in the fabric of reality. This is not just spiritual talk.
Psychologists in America have found that taking time for ritual, reflection, or even simple moments of awe can lower stress, increase resilience, and help people recover from loss or uncertainty. The solstice acts as a built-in ritual, an opportunity to mark time, to honor what has changed and what still asks to be transformed. You may notice it in the way neighbors wave a little more easily, or how children run barefoot through sprinkler mist, laughing as the sunlight catches the water in midair. Maybe you find yourself watching the sky for a little longer than usual, feeling your breath deepen without effort. Or perhaps you catch yourself longing for something you can't name, a sense of belonging, of being tuned in again, not just to others, but to yourself. This is the wisdom of the solstice. It returns every year, no matter what is happening in the world, to remind you that you belong, that your energy, your story, your presence matters. It's a permission slip to pause, to reflect, and to remember that you are part of something greater, something both ancient and immediate, as constant as the turning of the earth. So, as the sunlight lingers just a little longer this week, let yourself feel the moment. Let the busyness fade, if only for an evening. Honor what you have survived, what you are still learning, and what you are ready to invite in. The solstice matters because you matter, and the energy you bring into the world now will ripple out farther than you think in the weeks and months to come. Awareness is a powerful beginning, but the real magic of the solstice lies in what you choose to do with it. This window of heightened energy isn't just for inspiration or reflection, it's an invitation to act, to plant seeds that will grow in the months ahead. Maybe you feel a gentle nudge to start something new, a creative project you've put off, a conversation you've avoided, a small habit that could brighten your days. The solstice is a potent time for beginnings, for setting intentions that matter not just in theory, but in practice. Consider for a moment the difference between wishing for change and participating in it. The world is full of advice to think positive or raise your vibration, but the energy of the solstice asks for something deeper: alignment. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions point in the same direction, even in small ways, the universe seems to bend toward you. Opportunities arrive, synchronicities unfold, and the path ahead becomes clearer. Here are a few simple ways to channel solstice energy into action. Set a tangible goal. Choose something you can measure, whether it's writing a page each morning, walking a mile every evening, or spending 5 minutes in gratitude before bed. Use classic American measurements, a mile, a pound, a cup, to ground your goal in daily life. Reach out. Call an old friend, mend a family rift, or introduce yourself to a neighbor. The solstice supports connections. Sometimes the conversation you start now will echo for years. Clear your space. Donate unused clothes, tidy your workspace, or refresh a forgotten corner of your home. Many find that clearing physical clutter helps unlock new ideas and frees emotional energy. Learn something new. Sign up for a class, read a book that challenges your thinking, or try a hobby that sparks your curiosity. The solstice marks a turning. Let it be a turning point for your mind as well. Remember, no step is too small. Sometimes the most profound shifts come from the simplest acts. Plant a seed in the garden and watch it grow. Leave a note of encouragement for a stranger. Spend time in nature, noticing how even the largest trees began as fragile shoots. As you move through the solstice window, trust that the energy you invest, no matter how subtle, will return to you multiplied. The universe is listening, reality is more responsive, and your choices shape the field around you more than you realize. Let this solstice be more than a fleeting feeling. Let it be the spark that moves you forward, the fuel that turns longing into living, and intention into real, lasting change. As the solstice draws to its close and the world tips gently back toward night, take a moment to honor what you've felt, learned, and remembered here. The hidden power inside you is not a myth or a dream. It is a living truth, written into your bones, your breath, and your story. You are part of a lineage far older than any nation, a lineage of people who have looked to the sky in wonder, listened to the whispers of intuition, and dared to trust the invisible threads connecting us all. This is your birthright, to participate in the turning of the world, to shape reality not just with wishful thinking, but with the clarity of your presence and the courage of your action. The solstice does not promise a life without challenge or sorrow. Instead, it offers a window, a few rare days each year when the walls between worlds grow thin and you can hear more clearly the calling of your own soul. The light is strongest when it is shared. The power is greatest when it moves through you, not just for your own sake, but for the healing and awakening of everyone you touch. So as you leave this sacred window, ask yourself, what story do I want to tell in the coming months? What kind of energy do I want to carry into my family, my work, my community? The smallest act of kindness, the simplest moment of gratitude, can send ripples through reality far beyond what you can see. If this journey has awakened something in you, if you felt the echo of your own wisdom stirring, if you remembered the magic you carried as a child, let it grow. Share your story with us in the comments below. Tell us about your solstice experience, or simply leave a word, a memory, a hope. Every voice adds to the field. Every story becomes a thread in the tapestry we are weaving together. And if you wish to continue walking this path, to explore the mysteries, to find healing, to uncover the layers of your own soul, subscribe to the Eye of Wisdom. Together, we will keep searching for the light behind the world, the meaning inside the mystery. The solstice may last only a moment, but its lesson endures. You are not just a witness to the turning of the world. You are a participant, a conductor, a creator of light. May you carry that truth forward, step by step, day by day, into every season that follows. Thank you for joining this journey. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and let your wisdom shine.